Ok, pessoal, boa tarde. Meu nome é Luiz Silva, sou da Aquila Cloud. Obrigado pela presença, Rafael e Carlos, né? A gente deve ter mais pessoas se juntando ao longo da apresentação, mas vamos iniciar para respeitar o tempo, né? Então, o objetivo dessa chamada aqui com vocês é apresentar a Aquila Clouds como uma empresa voltada para soluções de otimização, de soluções cloud e também envolvendo AI, né? Então, para essa apresentação, a gente vai ter a presença de alguns especialistas, e aí, de tempos em tempos, a gente vai mover entre inglês e português para poder ajudar, né? O Carlos, acho que comentou, acho que o Rafael também deve ser ok com o inglês, né? Então, eu vou mover para o inglês, para a gente poder dar seguimento. Please, if you change the slides, please, next slide.
Yes.
Okay. So Rafael and Carlos, I'm Luis. As I said before in Portuguese, we thank you very much for being with us this afternoon here in Brazil. As I said before, will be along the presentation. We should have some more people joining this call. So we are going to start right now, and then as we get more people, we be just trying to accommodate as good as we can. So I'm Luis Silva. I'm based here in Brazil, in São Paulo. I'm representing Aquila Cloud in the region, not only in Brazil, but also in Latin America. This afternoon, here in Brazil, or this morning in California for our friends, Desmond Chen is our CPO and co-founder of Aquila Clouds. So, and also we are going to have the participation of Shankaran Sitarama, our Chief AI Officer, so that will be helping us towards all things related to AI. And so that's the idea of this presentation. And we thank you very much for your being present with us. And then in the next slide, we'll be providing you our basic agenda for this presentation, okay? So next one, please. Okay, so we have here, I can see that we have Almir, Carlos, Rafael, yes, Almir, Rafael, and Carlos. So for this, for the basic topics of this call, we are going to present you the cloud and AI financial management, and so the idea of the whole optimization across complex hybrid cloud and AI environments. So that's the basic idea of our topic number one. And then we will be discussing on number two on some success histories that we have with some of our customers that will give you a basic idea on good success that our customers could get by using the Atlas platform. And then we'll be on our item 3, discussing a little bit on our Andromeda AI platform, which on which we'll be presenting you a kind of demonstration of our Andromeda platform, showcasing some good success in terms of optimization and governance, and move on with the program for this afternoon. We'll be also showing you on GPU optimization, so discussing a little bit on how to maximize and GPU utilization and improving its overall efficiencies. And then as the last part, we'll be working on some, providing you some opportunities to some questions, which we can do in Portuguese and in English. So and trying to find the best way to optimize our time here. Okay? So, very quickly, em português. Pessoal, boa tarde. So, nossos tópicos básicos essa tarde será discutir um pouco da parte de gerenciamento da parte de financeiras e de cloud. Depois, número 2, a gente vai mostrar algumas algumas histórias de sucesso que nós tivemos com nossos clientes. No item 3, vamos falar um pouquinho da parte da plataforma AI, né, que a gente chama de Andromeda, né, a gente vai fazer uma demonstração rápida para vocês. No item 4, a gente vai discutir em relação à parte de otimização, né, de GPUs, né, e depois a gente vai ter uma oportunidade para questões, perguntas e dúvidas, tá? Muito obrigado. We can go ahead. Thank you. So that's the basic introduction, which I
Thank
took a
you.
little bit more time.
That's great. Thank you so much, Louis, and thank you to all the attendees for your time today. So let me just move on to the next section. So we're going to talk about cloud and AI financial management today, and just want to emphasize the importance of looking at both cloud and AI spend together. You can see that right now, the public cloud spend on an annual basis is going to surpass $1 trillion, and that is very significant. And that's another reason why a lot of the organizations, they are looking into managing their cloud expenses a lot better across all the public clouds and maybe even private clouds. And then in parallel, you're seeing that, hey, $1.43 trillion is being spent on AI infrastructure, and AI and cloud, they are very much intermingled. A lot of the AI workloads are actually running on the cloud. So in order to make sure that you can manage your expenses, IT expenses properly, you need to look at both. I think it goes without saying that, hey, these days, all of us are looking into Gen AI models, the LLM models, and you can see that the direct model spend is growing at the rate of over 80% year over year. And the projected spend in 2026 for LLM is actually 32.6 billion, and then in 2027 the forecast is that it will grow to 59.2 billion. So these are very significant numbers, and then we are seeing that many organizations, they are if they do not manage their cloud and AI spends right, they would actually suffer a lot in their in spending more than they should. And for cloud, we used to say that, hey, on average, the organizations are overspending 30%, because 30%, roughly 30% of the cloud resources are being wasted. But now, if you pay attention to the news recently, Uber actually finished all of their AI budget, their annual AI budget within 4 months after they adopted Anthropic Claude. And then Microsoft also experienced a similar thing, and then they stopped using Claude. And all of these are because that they do not have the right guardrails, and then they are not actively looking into the growth rate of their AI spend. And we do not want that to happen to you. And we're going to introduce some of the techniques that we know, and then what can be done on our platform today as well. So yeah, and then just want to emphasize on the agentic AI complexity. Agentic AI applications, basically you will actually touch on every single aspect of the ecosystem. It can be the LLM models, it can be the data platforms like Databricks, it can be some other databases, it can be Kubernetes, it can be GPUs. So Shankaran, our Chief AI Officer, will talk about the GPU optimization capabilities that Aquila Clouds provides in a later section today. But all in all, that we're looking into observability, optimization, and governance. So if you see our Andromeda, Aquila Clouds Andromeda cloud and AI financial management platform, this is an overall sort of like a architecture. So, on the very top, we have a agentic AI solution layer, which is called Agent Sherlock. So it provides talk to data capabilities. It's pretty much just like a headless, what we call headless interface. You don't need to understand our the UI or anything. Like you can just like come to Agent Sherlock and ask your questions in natural languages, and then we would be able to respond to you, with charts, with like graphs, with the insights that you need. And then underneath, like we have the different intelligence suite. So like one thing that I really want to emphasize on is the business intelligence, because hey, it's one thing that you understand how much you're spending, or like how much you can optimize in terms of cloud, data platform, runtime platform, or like agentic, or LM optimization. But if you have all of these expenses, you want to look at, for example, the profitability of your project, of your business unit, and so on. So there's a way, on our platform to show you how to couple your revenue data with the expense data, so that you can measure the ROI of your projects. And also, hey, like in terms of AI investment, we can also work on the different KPIs for different personas, and then like show you how much productivity gain that you have before and after AI as well. And then so like underneath in the third row here, you see like the different coverage of like cloud, all the AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle, Huawei. And then you can see like for the platform coverage, we have like the runtime platforms like VMware, Kubernetes, and then like we also have the data platforms like Databricks, Snowflake, and then like the hosted databases as well. And then for LLM, we do integrate with Amazon Bedrock, and then like the OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, all of these LLM providers as well. The last but not least, and this is our billing intelligence. This is actually a module that helps our customers, or like the MSPs or the cloud resellers, do customized pricing for the cloud resources. And most recently, we also started providing a way for the SaaS vendors, or like any of the new age vendors to do their credit-based billing using our billing intelligence. So if you're interested, we will be talking about that in our future webinars. But today we're going to focus on cloud intelligence, platform intelligence, and agentic AI intelligence, and business intelligence and above. So let's move on. Okay, just want to show you that hey, we got recognized by Everest Group for in their FinOps product assessment in last year in November 2025. And we are listed right next to IBM, Flexera, and Broadcom, all of these huge vendors. It's a very much an honor to be part of that leaders section right here, and it just tells us how our vision and our product is speaking to the audience. Yeah, with this recognition. Okay, so now let's look at like cloud and AI together. Actually, the way that we look at cloud and AI, they to manage both sets of like IT assets, they require the same discipline. Basically, hey, if you do not know how much you're using, you do not know what is being used, you cannot do any other things. So the first step is to observe what is being consumed. Is it some EC2 instances? Is it like a Kubernetes infrastructure? Is it like some LLM providers? and so on and so forth. We can actually provide all that observability to you in one single pane of glass. And then and then once you can observe, you can detect, like, hey, like you can detect any of the spikes in your spend, any of the spikes in utilization, what are the new resources that got spun off in the last 24 hours, and so on. Yes. And then, like, once you know what's wrong, you can optimize, right? Well, on the cloud, we can do right sizing, we can remove the idle resources, we can also do commitment management, meaning like the reservation plans and savings plans. Because, like, hey, like if you actually just purchase the proper commitment plans, it can easily just save you like 50% of your cost right there. And for AI, how do we look into the optimization? If you're just talking about using the public LLMs, we can fine tune the prompts. We can, cache the prompts. We can, find a cheaper model, and so on and so forth. And Shankar is going to talk about, hey, when you have like a GPU farm, how can we optimize the runtime there to get like better economics for your token usage, and also like which GPU to pick for which kind of usage as well. And last but not least, right, like you have to govern. You have to make sure that, hey, any of your cost centers, they are not overspending. They are well within the threshold of your budget. And then, like, do they have the right tags implemented on the cloud? Or like, are they using the models that they're supposed to use? Like, did they actually like go over and use like some very expensive models, or like expensive LLMs that they're not allowed to use? And all those guardrails we can put in as well, to help your organizations feel more safe when you democratize the usage of cloud and AI in your organization. Okay, so when we talk about cloud observability, of course, hey, you want to understand the cost allocation. I mean, this is one of the biggest topics for our clients. Many of our clients, they like to know, hey, how much am I spending on AWS, Azure, GCP, whatever clouds that are being used in their organization, and split them into different, of course, like the cloud constructs like accounts and services. But what about the applications that you are creating in your organizations? They want to have like a holistic way to capture all the expenses across the different clouds. And then and also business units and cost centers, projects, they want to be very, very flexible on how they can construct all these groupings of cost to fit their management models there. And we can provide that to you. We can, show you all these allocation in real time, on our portal. And like just looking at the cloud visibility, right? Like we talked about accounts, subscriptions, services, and different levels of like visibility in terms of like the expenses and the utilization. But when you look at AI, so when I talk with the customers, what are they most worried about? At least that was like a few weeks back, or like a month back. Things have changed very fast. But when in my conversations with these clients, they told me, I want to understand the token spent of a certain user, so that we do not have like one user that would skew all of our usage, and then like have like the entire organization just run out of tokens. And then also like they want to like put in budget control for each of these users, and so on and so forth. So we have a way to do that, and then we can attribute all of these different costs in different dimensions to a construct called financial domains, and I'll go into a little bit more details later. But with these financial domains, with these cost centers, being quantified, and having all these costs allocated automatically, you can put in a lot of guardrails around those. So these go, visibility or observability, they go very much hand in hand with governance here. So also hey, we do not wish for the users or the cloud and AI users to always have to look into some dashboard and or be very much reactive to any sort of situations. We of course do forecasting. And then also we of course hey, when we see an upward trend and an unnecessarily abnormal trend, right? So we would send an alert to you via email or PagerDuty, Jira tickets, or ServiceNow tickets, and so on, so that all these anomalies can be known by you as they happen. You do not have to wait until the end of the month to see your bill and be all surprised. You can be alerted in real time when things are happening. And then also because we forecast, you would be in the know about all of these fast changing trends in your spending as well. So a good platform that can help you with a cloud and AI management should always provide you with this. So now, we have looked into observe, we have looked into detect, and now you can optimize, right? You understand your environment, your usage, and then you also have a way to detect any anomalies. Now, let's look into optimization for the cloud, right? Hey, we can easily just say, because we ingest the utilization data of the resources, like the virtual machines or the storage and so on and so forth. We can tell you, hey, your instances, you can change to a different type, or your Kubernetes pods, or the containers, you can actually change the request, meaning pretty much like the vCPU and memory reservations. You can change those requests to a lower number and right size them so that you can create more room for the other pods to run. And as a result, you will be able to gain more capacity, compute capacity in your Kubernetes cluster. And then we talk about idle instances, right sizing, or any of the storage that has been orphaned, is an unattached volume, or is a snapshot that is not that is orphaned, right? We show you all of those, and so that we can help you remove them. And commitments, right? Hey, what is the efficiency of your reservation plans? The ones that you have purchased, are they at 99% utilization? If they're not, if they're only at 20%, then you're just wasting money on your reservation plans. We will actually make sure that you see that when that happens. And then also we will recommend that, hey, maybe you should buy more or less of the reservation plans and savings plans for some resource types as well. So all of these are done in a way that would actually protect your performance, because we understand your different metrics, the utilization data, the vCPU and memory usage data, and then for example, for RDS on AWS, we will also take the usage of the buffer cache into account. And then for example, Azure databases, we can also recommend that, hey, if you switch from vCore to a DTU model, a pricing model, you can probably save this much, and vice versa. So it's just depending on whether or not your usage pattern would warrants for those configurations. Okay, now let's look at the AI optimization, and this is actually above the GPUs. So hey, like when users are using the different LLM models, be it like Gemini, be it Claude, or like OpenAI, you name it. We can intercept the prompts, and then we can do like prompt optimization. For example, like just like try to compress the prompts into fewer words or fewer tokens. Try to summarize a document without losing the fidelity of the data, and yeah, and then so that your number of input tokens can be minimized there. So that's one technique. And then also we can do prompt caching. If there is a prompt that has been issued before, and we know that, hey, like this is a similar prompt, we can potentially save your trip to the LM, so that like we can just use a previously attained result and then show that to you as well. But of course, like this is a situation by situation. If the result is a time sensitive, then maybe we cannot do that. But then like, hey, oftentimes if you ask like, where is the capital of France, for example, like that probably won't change for quite a while. So that as well. And then like we can like give you like model routing capabilities just by looking at the complexity of the prompts. And then like we can say, hey, this prompt, you can actually just use a cheaper model and still retain the accuracy. So we would suggest that you move to that, use that model there. Okay, so and then we have like a way to control the output tokens and so on. And the fifth row here, it talks about agent workflow optimization. This is more complex, like because agents, they can actually touch like different LLMs, they can touch different data platforms, they can touch like different runtime platforms and so on and so forth. So it would actually require a lot of orchestration. So that one, like we can is still something that we're working on our roadmap. So overall, we want to have like the cost being driven down and the quality being maximized, and then like and then the latency is like more balanced, so that we give you like a perfect outcome. Taking into account of like all of these different aspects. Okay. All right.
Okay, people, any questions, please be free to do so, okay? Pessoal, fica à vontade de fazer perguntas no meio durante a apresentação do Desmond, okay?
Perfect. And
Okay.
please feel free to enter the questions in the chat as well, and then we can answer them one by one. Yeah. Okay. So now we have looked at observability, we have looked at anomaly detection, we have looked at optimization, and now let's look at the governance, right? So for governance, this is absolutely essential, because without any guardrails, like the Uber case, right? Like with their usage of Claude, that and then they finish their budget within 4 months. That it can be easily caught or like easily remedied if there are guardrails. So our financial domains, this construct is a construct that can help us implement different policies, and put in different guardrails for different cost centers and so on. So first of all, budget, right? Hey, definitely like for each of the cost centers, or like like I said, for AI, if you want to track the user consumption usage of the tokens, you can put them in a financial domain, and then like we will track the number of token spent, right? The in dollars, and then like show you any spikes, and then like also put a budget control on there as well. And then like definitely like for each of these financial domains we have like an ownership. We have what we call a domain owner, which is like the technical owner of that financial domain or their cost center. And then like we also have a finance owner as well. So you can put in all these different owners' names in the financial domains so that we can keep track of them, just in case if anything happens, we can notify them right away. And then we have policies, right? Like like I mentioned, like we have tag policy, for example. Like, hey, you want to have a all the resources on the cloud to have a tag called application. You can have that as well. And then like we can control the workflows, and even like affect your provisioning process, when a budget threshold is reached, and we can just stop all the provisioning as well. All of those can be done, through financial domains. So, with all these, financial domains in place, we actually have been helping some global customers that can actually model all of the cloud and AI spend allocation across the globe. You may have like a group that spends globally, in Americas, in the UK and Europe, and in Middle East and Africa, APAC, and so on, right? And then you can just like keep on just modeling your cost centers or your regional offices using financial domains. It's a very flexible construct here, and it goes across all of the clouds, platforms, LLMs that we track here and manage. Okay, so sorry that I'm rushing a little bit, and I still have quite a lot of content. If you have any questions, please feel free to just leave in the chat, and then we can answer them. And we also have like a Q&A section at the end. Okay, so just want to run through a few success stories with you. Sonoma Therapeutics, they are a bio tech firm that has won a Nobel Prize. And when we first engaged with them, they have because they are not a software company or like a tech company, they're more like a biotech company. So their IT team is relatively small, and then like the director of IT was contemplating on whether to hire an expensive contractor, or like buy an expensive tool, or like hire someone permanently onto their team. But we got on board, and then we gave them a lot of ROI for using us. And within the first 3 months, actually within the first few days, we have already identified over 50% of savings, just because that, hey, their usage has been just there, and then they because of a small IT team, and then they democratized all of the cloud usage and AI usage to your data scientist. It just requires a lot of cleanup, and then we spotted all of those savings for them, and then we actually implemented for them as well. So they're very happy with us. And another example is Impossible Foods. So we actually worked with them and cut their cost by 25%. And they actually hired a contractor before, but the result was that, hey, they would actually, the contractors or the professional services experts, they would actually just give a list of optimization recommendations without any explanations. So when the IT team actually showed the list to the application team and so on, they could not convince the application teams to downsize, for example, because the application teams are so worried about the outcome of it. How would that affect their performance? So but with us, we actually track all of the utilization data, and we show you all the all those utilization data on graphs, and then with that they're very much convinced to move forward with the optimization. And then like the last one here, like this is actually a use case that I would like to showcase, because like they have at least 3 clouds: AWS, Azure, and OCI. And then like and for Azure, they of course they have a cloud spend, and then they also use Azure AI Foundry as well. So we actually are the first company that can help them do all those cost allocations, including their AI. So this is something that not they have never experienced before, and then like we do that automatically. They don't have to run through all the accounting for all the clouds and AI tools every month, and they're very thankful for that. And then also we have identified some good savings for them, and we are continuing to work with them to help them with their Kubernetes optimization as well. Okay. So with that, I'm going to go into a demo, but before I do that, any questions?
Alguma pergunta, pessoal? Almir, Rafael, Carlos?
It is okay if you don't.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let me just do a quick demo. Hopefully I won't spend too much time there. So you can see on the screen that I have already logged in. We are a SaaS platform, and I am in Agent Sherlock. So as I mentioned, we have this agentic AI solution layer. And so basically you can just like type in your questions, and we'll answer that right away. So I have like some questions that I typed in before. For example, can you create an executive summary based on the optimizer recommendation types? So which means that, hey, like I just want Sherlock to tell me what kind of recommendations that they have, like how much can I save, and so on. So like different recommendation types, like, hey, change your reservation, change your instance type, maybe downsizing, or like change your RDS type, and maybe some unmapped elastic load balancers, and so on and so forth. All these are there. So and then like how much can you save, and so on. So like you can pretty much just type in any sort of questions, and then I will answer in the form of a chart, a table, a graph, and so on. Okay, so I think this is easy to understand. And then like if you want to do some cost analysis on your own, right? Like for the cloud, hey, like let's say that you have like different cloud, you use different cloud providers, then you can just like do different group buys here, and then you can see that, hey, like month by month, like what is the growth trend, or like downward trend, or like if you want to look at like, oh, how much are you spending on VMware, you can just like point at the VMware portion of it, and Azure and AWS, and so on and so forth. So you can see in a glance, like how much you're spending. And if you want to like do any sort of filtering, you can actually say that, hey, I just want to look at a few of these clouds, AWS, like Azure, GCP, and OCI. You can easily just apply that. And then like you see that, hey, like now we're left with just those cloud providers, and you can add any sort of other filters here as well. So like your accounts, your resource groups in Azure, and so on and so forth. All of those are here for you to use, and you can actually look at the resources that have been just provisioned in the period, right? So like these are the newly provisioned resources and the cost of them in the different clouds, and then and so on and so forth. So like you have a lot of knobs that you can change here. So this is for the clouds. And for LLM, similarly, hey, like I mentioned that there are clients who would really like to know how much each of their engineers is spending on the different LLMs. So like, hey, like you can look at the overall cost, you can look at the input tokens, the number of input tokens, the number of output tokens, the number of requests, and so on and so forth. So like all these options are here for you to do any group buys or filters and so on and so forth, right? You can filter by the different LLM providers. You can filter by models and API keys and many other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are the cost analysis page, and then like sorry. And I want to show you, for observability, you can also see like how much, what is the utilization of your reservation plans, the ones that you have purchased across the public clouds. If you have like a reservation that's only like 75 or 74% utilized, that is not a good number. You want something that's like 100%, right? So like at least now you're in that, hey, like this reservation ID here, this reservation is actually underutilized. And with that, right, like, hey, we take into account of all of these, and then like we also look at the reservations, like new reservations that you need to purchase, and then like we only show the ones that are consistently up in the lookback window that we have, and then and just show accordingly. And then like I want to show you like the optimization on instances. So like we have different techniques for for the instances, right sizing, start and shutdown, and idle instances. And if you look at the start and shutdown, basically we give you a usage map, a heat map here, and then like you see that, hey, like this instance is rarely being used, and then like so how can we actually have either like shut it down because it's almost idle, or like have like a a startup and shutdown schedule, and we our backend has this algorithm to look into the usage and recommend which slots should be which time slots should be we should shut down the instance, or like which time slot should we actually make a backup, right? So let's just use this recommendation schedule here, and you have a way to change it. You can actually say that, hey, I don't want to start and shut down just like within 1 hour, so let me connect these hours. You can definitely do that, or like you think that, hey, like at 9 o'clock UAT, you definitely won't use this instance right here. You can like just change them, so you can execute right here. Okay, so sorry, we're running out of time, so I'm not going to show the storage optimization, but we have like many types of optimization here. And then like for financial domains, so basically, hey, like you can create all these financial domains using different dimensions here. You can use accounts, you can use tags, you can use Kubernetes namespaces, you can use a LLM, just like any of the models or users. It's up to you, right? So once you have the financial domains all allocated, then you can track the budget and so on. Okay.
Hey, Desmond, for any company that may be interested to test or implement this type of solution, in your opinion, what could be the basic steps, or or besides basic steps, how long does usually it takes to be implemented? Could you describe a little bit which are the basic steps for anyone interested to implement this type of solution, please?
Yes, yes. So most definitely. So for anyone who wants to like work with us and do an assessment, basically what you need to do is to work with us to add your cloud environments or your LLM environments here. So for any of the cloud environments, you would have to give us an ARN that has the privileges enabled, the permissions enabled. We only require read-only access. We do not need any of the execution rates. But if you want us to execute anything like the right sizing or like the start and shutdown, we would need certain permissions. So, but if you're not comfortable with that, hey, we can just like get the read-only data and then provide you with an analysis. And then for like Databricks and Kubernetes, we have a different set of parameters that we need to get. Like for example, Kubernetes, we would need to like install a cron job in the Kubernetes cluster to download the data into like a storage bucket, and then we can ingest from there. This is all Prometheus based. Yeah, and then for the LLMs, we would need to have your API key. For example, if you use Claude, if we can use your API key to download the usage data, then we can show you, all those dimensions here as well. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so one last thing, we have like the tag policy here. So like, you can implement any tag policy and check for like, hey, if the key contains like application and so on. So like, we scan the resources every day, and then we show you the compliance report there, and then so that you can make any correction if you need to. Okay, I know that I have been rushing a lot, and then like I'm not leaving too much time for Shankran and Louis, but if you have any questions, please just put it in the chat box, or like we can talk in the Q&A section. So without further ado, shall we move to Shankran?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, please go ahead, Shankran.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. And I think Desmond has done a good job of explaining the whole, combining the cloud and AI optimization. And this is trying to take it a little bit further, or at least a little bit lower in the stack in terms of AI infrastructure. So when we come into the GPUs, so let's say you have a lot of GPUs in your on-prem or like a GPU farm and stuff like that. And how do we optimize for your on-prem GPU farm tuning? And that's what this is. And Aquila Clouds provides you a whole lot of capability in order to optimize things with performance, right? So let's say you're trying to serve certain models with maximum throughput or low latency. But keeping these performance targets in mind, how do you optimize in terms of cost and in terms of the GPU usage? So it kind of tries to find out for the same performance, what is the different types of hardware that can be used that you can get in terms of cost advantages and in terms of savings in cost. So that's one of the things by trying to do it with respect to the performance. The second one is in terms of the model optimization. Okay, so it kind of tries to explain the runtime by trying to provide the the different models that can actually optimize in terms of the performance for your agentic workload or for any of your AI workload, but trying to use the same kind of thing to be able to get you the same kind of performance, but at a much lower price. The third one is in terms of full sovereignty and privacy, trying to provide that kind of a control with the proprietary LLMs. So the LLMs that are like, proprietary LLMs, not necessarily the public or the open weights kind of things. It could be your own weights, It could be standard proprietary models that you're running, the workloads. For that, you will be able to do that without any kind of network latency right on your on-prem GPU farm. Again, and I'll explain a little bit in terms of some of the things, and I can will be open for if any of you have more interest in this, we can definitely do a much more deep dive and a demo as well on this. If we can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, so here I'm trying to show you in terms of how GPU runtime optimization is there. So while you're running and serving certain models, what are some of the optimization that we could do? Excuse me. So let's say we have a baseline configuration. We are running on 4 H100s, for example. In this case, we are running a Qwen 3.5 with 35 billion parameter model. And this is delivering you 137.5 tokens per second. Tokens per second is a measure of the throughput, right? And this is per user. So there is a set of concurrent users, but the system TPS is going to be for every user. Like let's say there are 10 users and it gives you 137 tokens per second per user. So you're going to get a total system TPS of 1,375 tokens per second. The time to first token, TTFT, of 385 milliseconds, right? This is using the standard configuration. Out of the box configuration, if you try to use it with VLLM, we're going to get this on 4 H100s. You get a $2.42 per million tokens. Okay, now we optimize the runtime. You are basically using the same hardware, but you're just changing the runtime. You're just changing the server. You're just changing the parameters of how these things are running. You're now increased your throughput to 196 tokens per second. And that is going to give you a cost saving as well, because the costs now drop to $1.70 per million tokens. Okay, so that is the kind of optimization. This is the one level of optimization where it kind of increases the performance. You have the same hardware, you have different parameters, runtime parameters. That's one level. The second level is the right sizing, where we go based on a particular performance, you try to optimize the hardware. And that you will see in the next screen. And this is exactly a demo that I can show you exactly, and we can run real workloads and we can just establish baseline performances, establish the optimized runtime as benchmarks for production as well. Okay, and in this is the second level that I was telling you. We are going to basically do a right sizing for the same performance. So here the hardware is different. Okay, so for the performance requirement service level objectives. So let's say you want to have 1,000 tokens per second. That's the system TPS, system output that you want. For that performance, we are now trying to say you get a cheapest configuration on the hardware that gives you the same performance. And this optimization is done based on a lot of data that has been gathered, but also a lot of optimization that's possible. So without actually running and establishing these performances, you will get the benefit of this. And that's exactly what Aquila Clouds is going to bring to you in terms of optimizing on this. So you're able to now run it instead of 4 H100s, you run it on 4 A100, okay, with SXM4 with SGLang, and you're now able to bring it down to $1.13 per million tokens. So if you see, we started off with $2.72 per million tokens. We reduced it using the first level, wherein the same hardware, you change the characteristics. Now, for the same performance, you change the hardware to a more optimum, to a more right-sized GPUs. We are now able to get a much more efficient configuration where the cost optimization is there. So you're getting cost savings at two different levels. And that's this This is the benchmark testing that was there, actually conducted on this. Yeah, sorry. Next slide, please. So in terms of the cloud and AI, what Aquila Clouds is trying to do is we are trying to bring in both of those things into a unified governance, because you're not trying to differentiate, oh, this is cloud, this is AI. When you're trying to do your workloads and stuff like that, it's all combined. So we are giving you a unified governance with one experience, with the complete optimization and continuous control as well. Okay, all the anomalies that are detected, everything are identified. You get the optimization. You get complete control over that. And we can book a private demo of complete in terms of the cloud and AI, this unified governance, or even in terms of the GPU optimization. Just fill out this form, and I think in the chat we have the link to this form. That if you can fill out this form, we'll definitely be able to get back to you. We'll schedule a one-on-one demo, and then we can show the demo to you as well.
That's great.
Perfect. Yeah, please feel free to sign in. Yeah.
Sure. Any questions on GPU optimization, please feel free, and I can try and answer that.
Yeah. So, okay. So people, thanks for your attention and patience so far. I think Almir have to leave to another meeting. But I'll be in touch with you, Almir, later on, so we can touch base. Okay. And also, Rafael and Carlos, in case you have any questions, Rafael, Carlos, se vocês tiverem alguma pergunta, fica à vontade, tá? Agora, período para a gente poder bater um papo. Mesmo se vocês tiverem alguma questão do que o Desmond falou no início, também fica à vontade de colocar alguma pergunta aí para a gente, tá bom? Okay. Okay, so they don't have any questions so far. Okay.
Sure. And even if you have some questions later on, feel free to just send us an email and we'll get back to you as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you. So thanks. I think that's that completes our talks. Thanks a lot, Desmond and Shakaran, for your explanations. Almir from Telefonica said that he'll be in touch later on with me. So, and but he had to leave to another meeting. Okay. So I really appreciate the time and patience of everyone so far. And I think that's it, Desmond and Shakaran. Thanks a lot for your time and patience with us. Muito obrigado.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Carlos is writing something there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Also, they asked if we could share this record or this meeting later on. Okay. So later on we can share. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Louis. Thank you, Asha.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
We'll be in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So.